Hello, my name is Lois Long. Thanks for taking time to log into the webinar today. I'm here to present information to you about the expanded grade of execution and for the synchronized skating discipline. Before we get started, I'd like to take a minute to introduce the members of the Synchronized Team Skating Committee. You'll see them pictured here on the screen. I'd like to call their names to your attention. On the left is Kathy Dalton. She is our coaching member. Next to Kathy is Roberta Giuliani. She is our athlete member. Next to Roberta is Uliana Cherkova. She is an elected member. In the center, you see Philippe Métro. He is our chair. Next to Philippe is Petra Tirbo, an elected member as well, and myself there pictured on the right. So this is the team that's developed this material, in addition to another team, and I want to share that team with you as well. This is the team that helped develop the criteria you're going to see, and when you look at the picture, you might recognize some of these people because they are 17 different individuals from 15 different member federations, and collectively they have over 280 years of international synchronized skating experience. So there was a lot of brain power in the room to help us really refine this criteria and the information you're about to see, and to make sure that things translate into your language. And they worked very hard, and I would also like to take this opportunity to thank them. When you look at some of these pictures, you can see that it looked like it was awful tiring work. Some of them did stop and give us a smile for the camera, but their work is reflected in the material you're going to view today. So with that, let's get started. Here's the agenda I'd like to cover with you. I'm going to present an introduction to the expanded and a framework, for the expanded grade of execution and how you would apply it. We're going to talk about some key aspects that are applicable to all elements. We're then going to look at some specific criteria unique to each element. For example, what differentiates a traveling wheel from a rotating wheel? And then next, we're going to talk about some reductions and deductions, and then we'll do a summary. So let's get started. I hit the wrong button. There we go. All right, the expanded grade of execution. So the grade increases from a -5 to +5. So we used to have 7 grades, we now have 11. The decision to implement was approved in 2016, and the season for implementation is 2018, and that decision was made to go forward this year at Congress. It applies to all figure skating disciplines. And what we've done is do a mapping against the program component definitions. It's a scale we're all used to using, 0.25 up to 10. But what I like about this mapping is when you compare the -5 to +5, you really can see that the +5 is really an outstanding element. And it really helps to visually or in your mind understand that when we're looking at this expanded grade, to achieve a +4 or a +5, that really does represent excellent or an outstanding element. It is truly a near perfect mark. So keep thinking about the framework of very poor, poor, fair to weak, average, very good, and excellent as you begin to look at some of the criteria for each of these elements. Okay, so key aspects that are applicable to all synchronized elements. All synchronized elements have basic 5 key attributes that are of equal importance. Shape, we're all looking for unison. Speed, flow, and quality. So when you think about the shape of an element, doesn't matter which element it is, it could be roundness, straightness, alignment, spacing, symmetry, pattern and distribution on the ice. For unison, think about togetherness. In harmony, step or time, performing as one, being precise, cohesive, and it could be concurrent or syncopated. In speed, it's the variation and control of pace. It's quickness, power, acceleration. Flow, movement within, movement between and across. Power, went backward. Let me do over. Flow, movement within, between and across, effortless progression, and glide. And finally, quality, cleanness, accuracy, mastery. So hopefully, when you think about the 5 key aspects of shape, unison, speed, flow, and quality, one of those words resonates with you. One of those words really helps describe what we're expecting and what we mean when we list these 5 key aspects that are applicable in no equal importance, but applicable to all the elements in synchronized skating. So, the process for arriving at a grade of execution has not changed. The judges first consider, of equal importance, the 5 key aspects for each element: shape, unison, speed, flow, and quality. And then the judge will utilize specific criteria which is unique to each element. Like I mentioned in my opening comments, what differentiates a traveling wheel from a rotating wheel? That's some of the criteria that would be specific to each element. But as I also mentioned, achieving a mark of +5 does represent near flawless execution. It's that 6.0 element, a really memorable element. So to achieve the range of +4, +5, all key aspects and the specific criteria of the element must be performed with at least excellent execution. And the element can contain no errors. We really want to make sure that that grade of execution is properly awarded to reflect the element. Let's move on to the specific criteria for each element. New for us is an artistic element. An artistic element is for each of the basic shapes: block, circle, line, wheel. Now we know what those shapes look like. In addition to looking at the overall shape, the unison, speed, flow, and quality, we're also going to look to see if it's a creative variation of a basic shape. It's not just a simple 4-spoke wheel. Maybe the wheel looks different. We're looking for quick and seamless changes of configurations. So, for example, some of those configurations features are a change of configuration, intersection or weaving, lifts, jumps, spins, pair movements, pivoting, traveling. So those are an example of some of the features you might see in these new artistic elements. And we're not looking for it to really be a check-the-box element. When we say that it enhances the idea of the program, we really want it to help tell the story of the program or the idea of what the structure is, really something to make it visually interesting and differentiate one program from another. The audience appeal there's quite a potential there, and I'm anxious to see what the coaches, our creative branch, are able to come up with. So, next we have our linear and pivoting elements. For the linear block and line, we're looking for seamless changes of configuration. We're looking for, in the pivoting block, the lineup that's maintained during the pivoting. We want to see a strong, controlled pivoting action. We want quality of the turns, steps, and edges and free leg positions. In the pivoting line, again, we're looking for straightness during the pivoting and a strong, controlled pivot. In addition to speed, unison, shape, flow, quality. Let's move on to the rotating and traveling elements. General for all circles and wheels. Again, the seamless execution of the features. We want to see strong centrifugal force. For the rotating circle that is based on the features, you're likely to see a weave or an interlock. Critical to that is the timing. For rotating wheel, we want to see a closeness of the spokes in relation to the center point. The picture on the bottom shows you a really tight formation wheel. The spokes must be pivoting around a common center point. And in the traveling elements, we're looking for a consistent size during the traveling. We want to see good ice coverage during the travel and a controlled, continuous travel. We'll move on to the next element, which is the intersection element. So general for all intersections. In the 2016 regulations, there were 4 phases of an intersection. We've reduced that to 3. So now we have the approach, the point of intersection, and the exit. This will allow flexibility and creativity in how teams start their intersection, how they prepare for their intersection. There is also a creative intersection, and it replaces the intersection with no PI, point of intersection, which we had this past 2 seasons. With less restrictions, we're looking for innovative configurations and use of features for an intersection. Then there's the whip. We had a really difficult time achieving consensus on the definition of no whip action. So we have a definition of no whip action, and I'm sorry I don't have it here on the screen. It'll be on the regulations when they come out. But a whip action is an action that occurs when the lead skaters in one line apply a force, commonly by curving a shape, causing the end skaters of their line to increase their speed and snap. So for the whip, we're looking for increased tension and acceleration when approaching the axis of intersection. I'm sure if you've been judging the whip intersection, it's been a challenge for us. Hopefully this definition will resonate with you and help you to look for that increased speed and tension into the point of intersection and that snap. Okay. Let's move on to the lift elements. We have the group lift. We're looking for strength, flexibility in the air position, and seamless execution from the entry through to the exit. For the creative lift, we're looking for a creative pattern or position. We're looking that the element fits the phrasing and character of the music, and purposeful delivery of the element by all skaters. So what we mean when we say purposeful delivery is that all skaters, all athletes are involved in that are not involved in the actual lifting process are still contributing to the overall element and structure of the element versus maybe skating around. So the creative lift is really to make sure that we've got this picture created by all athletes, even those that are not involved in the lifting process. Okay, let's move on to the next element, which is the mixed element. It used to be the combined element, renamed to the mixed, and this could be comprised of 2 or more elements, and we're looking for creative interaction between the elements chosen. Not much more required, but really a creative interaction between the elements. And of course, for each of the element shapes chosen, we want to see shape, unison, speed, flow, and quality. On to the moves element. We're looking for quickly attained and maintained position. If the team is doing a spiral, we want to see that leg rise into position strong and stay, not wobble, and not slowly climb up. We're looking for flexibility and aesthetically pleasing positions and body lines. We're looking for interesting pattern and placement on the ice, and controlled spatial interaction and awareness. Now, by that we mean we're looking for the moves to have a strong edge with a clear path, where the skaters know what arc they're skating on and what lobe they're on and tracking to. We want to make sure that sometimes it loses the shape or the clear definition of where the element is to flow. So we want to see controlled spatial interaction and awareness, and also outstanding flexibility, body lines, and shape, flow, speed, quality, unison. On to the no-hold element. We're looking for seamless execution of features, and briefly, some of those features are changes of places, positions, configurations, free skating moves such as spirals, mazurkas, toe jumps, splits, stags. I think you understand what the features are. We're looking for a multi-directional pattern, and we're looking for the steps and turns. We want to see a variety of forward and backward skating, inside-outside edges, equal use of the left and the right foot, deep lobes with strong, clear edges. We'd like to see a consistent speed and glide during the exit and the entry of the turns, and the exit of the turns maintained with a strong running edge, and of course timing to the music and the tempo that the team is skating to. Moving on, we're going to talk about the pair element. So the pair elements may consist of free skating elements or moves or step sequences, but we're looking for, in the death spiral for example, flexible, strong body positions, and even controlled descent into and out of, ascent out of. So a descent in and ascent out of the death spiral. Not that the athlete goes into the death spiral with kind of a collapse and then rises into the body position. It should be a controlled descent into the position. We're looking for a 1 foot entry and exit of the pair pivot and death spiral, and a clean skating edge for the rotating skater, not on the boot, on the edge of the blade. And of course, outstanding synchronization of the pairs. Shape, unison, speed, flow, and quality as it applies to the pair element is important as well. Unique to the spins, we used to have 4 phases in 2016, now there are 3. We have the entry, the rotation, and the exit. We're looking for spins that are well centered throughout and a consistent or accelerated rotation of speed. And we want to see outstanding synchronization in all 3 phases. The twizzle. It's a new element for us, so consequently I don't have a picture of it for you because in the prior seasons it was included as part of the no-hold element, but now it is a unique element all to itself. So I've got ice dance pictures here and some twizzling people on the screen. I know you're watching that. We're looking for the speed of rotation to be maintained with close spacing. We're looking for seamless execution of the features that they've chosen. And some of the features are arm positions, leg positions. If they choose to do a small jump into the twizzle, we're looking for outstanding synchronization and an interesting pattern across the ice. Let's talk now about reductions and deductions. So as I stated, The final GOE of an element is based on a combination of both the positive and negative aspects. Judges will first consider the 5 key aspects of shape, unison, speed, flow, and quality as it relates to each of the elements, and that gives a starting point. Then the judge will increase or reduce according to the guidelines of the specific criteria we just talked about. The result is the final GOE of the element. Here are some sample increases in the grade of execution, and you're going to want to make sure you're checking the ISU website to get the communication of the final released version. But criteria that is applicable to all elements. We're looking for a variety of steps, turns, and movements. We're looking for a variety and quality of holds. We're looking for creative entry or exit into the element, and that it reflects the timing and tempo to the music. Added to the rule book this year is a definition that says all skating must be performed to music. Well, that's intuitive, but yes, figure skating is about the music, and we must be skating to it, in harmony with it, in time and tempo with the music. That's critical. Next is some required deductions that you're going to see on the guidelines. For all the key aspects, shape, unison, speed, flow, and quality, if the execution is poor, fair to weak, the judge will reduce the grade of execution by -1 to -3, depending on the severity. If there is a lack of any key aspect during the element, it is totally missing unison, for example, the element can be no higher than a -4. We've got a category of major errors, which applies to all elements: falls of 1 skater, a fall of 2 skaters, and a fall of 3 or more skaters. You can see fall of 1 skater, depending on the disruption, could be a -1 to a -2. Sometimes they're down up, sometimes it takes a bit of time to recover, or it's disruptive to the element. A fall of 2 skaters, the element can be no higher than a -2. And a fall of 3 skaters, the element can be no higher than a -3. There's also some minor errors that we're going to be looking for. And again, depending on the severity and the disruption of the errors, there's stumbles, collisions, or a touchdown of the free foot or hand, breaks in holds or poor quality of holds, visible errors in the element, the team not acting as one unit. There's other minor errors: excessive use of space or distribution over the ice, and a long preparation into the element. We really want to see smooth, easy movement and flow, not a hesitation as an element is being prepared for. And then the required deductions and for judges and referees. For non-permitted elements and features, separating longer than necessary before resuming skating, together again as a unit. So this is much similar to our existing costume deduction. It requires the majority of the panel to be applied. So you will see a revised judges screen, and on your deduction page will also be separation in excess. New deductions that are required for the referee. Late start. So in the past, if the team was not on the ice, ready to start their program when their official practice and the 30-second mark was called, we would start the music. Now, consistent with our other disciplines, singles and pairs and ice dance, a deduction of 1.0 will be applied for late start. For non-permitted elements, the referee will also be looking for separations in excess. So you can see the definition there is a bit of words, so I will read it. For junior and senior, stopping exceeding 5 seconds on more than 2 different occasions within the free program, not counting the opening and the closed positions will receive a deduction, and that is stopping in excess. In the novice division, novice category, it's stopping more than one time in the program. Our program durations have been reduced this season. There's very quick time in the programs. We want to see the team skating, not standing and dancing or standing and acting out something. We want to see skating. And finally, in summary, all of our elements will be evaluated considering the 5 key aspects of shape, unison, speed, flow, and quality. I hope that has begun to resonate with you when you see any element, those 5 key aspects, you'll be looking for them, and the aspect will vary based on the element you're seeing. We've kind of briefly touched on some of the specific criteria, which is unique to each element. Again, what differentiates a traveling wheel from a rotating wheel. And we've talked about the mapping, and hopefully you will find the mapping to of the expanded grade of execution to the program component terms will be helpful to you in really knowing how to utilize this expanded scale. And for the judges, the coaches, the athletes will understand what is required during the execution of the element. And as a final reminder, for judges and referees, the guidelines for reductions and deductions are in the, at this time of the webinar, we're in their final stages of approval process. Be looking to the ISU website to always make sure you're capturing the very, very latest communications available. With that, I will close this webinar. I thank you again for joining in today and spending your time to review this material. I hope it was valuable to you, and again to the viewing audience, thanks so much.